You know better than that.
Order. Calling to order. Parowan City Council, 5:31 p.m. It is January 23rd, 2025. Thank you to all of you who are here tonight. We appreciate you being here and really do love when the community comes out to our council meetings. We're going to start our meeting with an opening ceremony by Councilmember Rochelle Topham. She is going to say a prayer with us and then lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Father in heaven, we bow our heads before thee this day to thank you for all thy many blessings. Please bless that as we go through this council meeting, that we will do so with open hearts, open minds, and that we can make decisions that are in the best interest of our community. Please bless all of those that are sick, afflicted, or have other ailments, that they may be healed and watched over. And I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will start this meeting with a declaration of conflicts or personal interest in any of the agenda items by the city council members.
No.
No, ma'am. Mayor, go ahead. Anybody want to? I thought they were not through. I need to declare a conflict of interest in item number 18, but with the advice of the Ombudsman's office, I have no interest in the issue, personal or financial, otherwise, therefore I'll be voting.
All right, thank you. And also at this time, we have a request that I'd like to present to the council to move agenda item number 18 up to the top of the action meeting. So with that, I would appreciate a motion to approve that change in the agenda.
Mayor?
Do we need to make the motion first, or can we do your motion? That's what I thought. Okay.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to move action item number 18 to the top of the action meeting items.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. That motion carries. Now we'll move to the public comment section of this meeting. Any of you that are here tonight that would like to come to the microphone, you can just state your name and you have 2 minutes to speak. And we would love to hear from you if you came here to participate in public comment.
My timer.
I'm waiting. Oh, great. Thank you.
Oh, there we go.
Don't shoot me, I'm just the messenger. I just had something happen down at where I work, and there was a question came up about an increase in the power, and the question was, how much of an advance notice does the public have to have before that rate can be raised?
All right. Dan, do you have the answer to that, or is that just an open question that we'll cover later in the meeting?
I'm happy to give you the best answer that I have, and that is we have looked, anytime we've done a change in rates or fees, I know that we have to do it by resolution. We have looked and looked and looked in state code. The problem is with power, most of the state code is regarding the Public Service Commission, which regulates non-publicly owned power. They have to go through the Public Service Commission, and there's a whole process. as far as municipal-owned power, from what we can find, and this is not the first time we've adjusted rates, that we just have to do it by resolution. And so, we've been discussing this issue for multiple meetings and had chance for public, but we couldn't find that there was anything additional that we needed to do, so that's the best we can find out, so.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing it to council.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else for public comment? All right, in that case, we'll move on to our consent meeting. These are items that are usually administrative in nature and approved by one motion. Item number 5 is the approval of the city council meeting minutes from January 9th, 2025, and the special work meeting on January 15th, 2025. And item number 6, the approval of the warrant register for January 23rd, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent meeting items number 5 and 6.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. The motion carries. We'll now move to the public hearing portion of our meeting. We will need to go into public hearing by council vote. This would be for the proposed amendments to the Parowan City Council Municipal Administrative Code, Title II and Title 15. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
Mayor, I move to go into public hearing to hear comments regarding the proposed amendments to Parowan City Municipal Administrative Code in Title II and Title 15.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so public hearing is now open, and probably should introduce that.
So, we discussed this, and, Callie, could you bring that, ordinance up on the screen? We discussed this in detail in our work meeting and went through line by line, to the changes proposed. This is the ordinance, which is exactly the wording that we finished with. But there was probably 35 larger to smaller edits. I don't know what else. I mean, I can give you a kind of a brief synopsis, but it's going to be based on memory. Or I can pull up the document that shows you the changes if you'd like to look at it again. Don't know exactly what you want.
The only reason I laugh is I have been through this process with 2 other entities, and one entity, it was done in less than 45 minutes. Granted, it was a block copy from another town. The other one, one meeting, I think you have done a beyond thorough, professional, custom fit for Parowan job on this, and you're all to be commended. So, thank you.
All right, so with that being said, the comment period is open to the public. All right, in reading the room, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Do we need to recite the code, or are we okay to go? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. We'll now move to staff reports. We have our courts department head, Keith Naylor, here tonight to give us an update and a report. We're grateful for him for staying here. It's a long day when you stay after a full day, but he's always happy to be here.
Always happy to be here. Thank you, Mayor. Council, good evening. I'll give you some numbers first, just for the 2024 year, and then I'll give you kind of a historical perspective so that you can put that number into context. We had 542 total cases filed in 2024, 43 of which were low-level misdemeanors, which of course is all our court handles. Most of those are typically drug offenses based on my personal knowledge. We had 12 DUIs, 481 traffic citations, 6 small claims. In the year, unfortunately, 158 warrants had to be issued. Typically, those are outstanding fines, or for other violations of probation, things of that nature. But most often, violation of, or failure to pay fines or fees, or failure to pay their traffic tickets, whatever the case is. As of the close of 2024, there were 530 total open warrants, but that's kind of a throughout all time number, so it's tough to really use that number, but unfortunately that is outstanding on the books through the courts. Also at the end of 2024, we had only 58 open cases, which means we move pretty quickly to resolve cases as they come through our courts, but again, we deal with low-level offenses, so they usually move pretty quickly anyway. So things move right along. To put that 542 total cases number into perspective, in 2023 we had 491, in 2022 we had 370, 2021 we had 506, 2020 we had 526, and in 2019 628 total cases. So we're right on average with where we should be in terms of the numbers of cases that are filed, but of course those are all it's not anything the court can generate. It's all started through law enforcement. So we work well with our police department and the other outlying agencies. I can say that there's been good support from Highway Patrol as well as the County Sheriff's Department helping patrol I-15, as well as work throughout the town and up to Bryan Head, so along with the work of our own police department. Any questions? Beautiful. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you. All right, just as if she walked in on cue. Da, da, da. Item number 9, we will get an events update by Jet Smith.
But you're
Hey,
right
don't
on-
blame
right on
me.
time. You're right on time.
Right on time. Okay, here I am. My name is Jet Smith. I am the visitor center manager, the theater manager, and I run the events. My job is to make people happy, keep people busy, and to promote Southern Utah. I just got back from Cedar City, where we just received our TRT grant of $20,000.
Woohoo!
So, very happy with that. So, new things that's been happening. We've been working with the Sheriff's Office and the correction facility. We are going to build racks upstairs for the theater props, clothing and everything, so we can get everything in one place and be very organized. So that's kind of our big project that we've got, that the theater board and we're going to be working on this year. Little Women is coming on March 20th through the 22nd, 24th, and 27th through the 9th. The theater board has decided, I have this in my back pocket for you, actually.
That's okay.
The theater board has decided that we are going to do a thing called Friends of the Theater. And we've still got to work out a few things, but these people would be sponsors. They would give $50 every year. They'd sign like a 5-year, we're going to give you $50. It's just going to give us some extra money to, like, our scripts and everything. I think our last one was like $3,000. And so we're kind of short on props, things like that, because of our money is going towards scripts and stuff. So we're going to work on that, get that down in writing, and then we'll present it to the board here. Visitor Center is doing really, really well. One thing I'm really happy about is I've got 2 new employees, and they are young, and they love computers, and they're just wonderful. They are just wonderful. And they like it. They like being there, and so the atmosphere is back to where it used to be, and it's just been a lot of help for me. And our main goal this year is advertising. So, if we had 500 people to an event, we're going to have 1,000 this year. We are going to double our advertising on every single event. We are working, like with the marathon, we are working from the high schools, from
Beaver all the way to, St. George. We're just gonna try to increase every event. I thought about really putting up a new event this year, and instead of that, we're gonna double. And so hopefully this will work for us, and, with just having, more hands on deck in my office to do more phone calls and more social media, I think we can accomplish that. So Visitor Center is really doing good. Our, totals are up from last year, which is really nice. And, with the extra money that we received, for the souvenirs and stuff, it's really brought in I'd say a little bit higher class and more souvenirs to sell, and people seem to be really happy with that kind of stuff. So, and then, let's see. I have to put my glasses on. Our marathon struggled last year. It was the same day, for the last 2 years, it's been the same day as the Beaver Marathon. And, we have really, really struggled, our half marathon. So, Beaver has dropped their date and changed it, which is really, really nice. And so we are going to try to get our 500 total back to the marathon. That's our goal. Hopefully we will work with it, and we're just trying everything. We've got, one of the girls in the office is gonna work on the runners clubs, and the other one's working on the high schools, and we're gonna get that just really up this year. We've got everything set for the concerts. They're already booked this year. So our big thing, I guess, is the 4th of July. It's gonna be an all-day event instead of just the 2 or 3 hours, because it's on a Friday, and that's our July concert series. So we are working with 80s, Carrie Zwang, and they're going to be playing music. We are going to have games. We'll have like the regular games and the regular morning stuff, but we're gonna try to make it an all-day event, that they can just put their chair out, watch the fireworks from the park, listen to the music, more vendors, more games, things like that. So we're gonna kinda get that going. Carrie's already got a $500 donor to donate so they can play longer. And so the 4th of July is gonna be a big event this year. So, I guess all I can say is our big thing is increase in attendance. That's what we're working on, increasing advertising. And I'm really happy that I have extra hands on deck now, which makes me so happy, because they're really wonderful. Well, Ronnie's always wonderful, but my extra 2 hands are really nice. Things are going good. We're a happy little corner on Main Street, so.
Good.
Questions?
No. The floats have really added to the parades. I'm gonna tell you that. They're great.
Those floats kill me, can I just tell you that? No, we have 5 of them. Well, we have 3 and the county has 2, but for every parade, I try to do 5. We are literally right now working on the 4th of July. We need a heater. That shed is so cold. But, yeah, we're trying to get all 5 floats for every parade. And, that, it does. I agree. It makes a big difference when you have floats in a parade, so. And, I have to give a hands off to John Groom and his, correction kids, guys. 'Cause I don't have the muscle anymore to do a lot of that lifting and things like that. And I call them and they're so good to come up. So hats off to them, 'cause they really do help, so. And, I don't know what else to tell you.
Well, Jed, thank you and your staff for what you do.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have fun.
Thank you.
We want everybody in town to have fun. Matter of fact, I'm running late, but, I've had meetings today. I've had to do this already. I have, some really neat, window snow scrapers for all of you. Little, thing, 'cause it's gonna snow in Parowan, but it has, good sayings about Parowan. We're trying to make everything happy, positive, and, everybody just needs a smile. So that's our goal this year.
Do you have a date of when it's gonna snow?
Yeah, let me tell, my knee could probably tell you. I hope so soon. We need it. My garden.
I heard Sunday maybe.
Oh, I hope, my garden. I gotta have my water, so.
Well, they'll be appreciated. We've had lots of ice.
Yeah, there you go. All right?
Right.
Any questions?
Well, you know
No.
how much I love you
Okay.
and appreciate you
Thank
and
you.
everything that you do for Parowan,
I
so.
really do have this sitting in my back pocket.
Hey, you just gave my council report.
Well,
You're fantastic.
I just thought if nobody texted you,
That's
from the
okay.
board, I'd give it to you, but, okay,
No,
sounds
you
good.
did it.
Thank
You're-
you.
You're perfect.
Events,
Jet.
events are important
I,
to this city.
I think so. You know, it gets people out of their house of all ages. It gets kids off their devices. One thing that is so cool right now is Cedar City put the money, the Tourism Bureau put the money into, the AI. So I can literally say 1,400 people came on Friday of Christmas in the country here in Parowan. I mean, to say there's 1,400 people that came, you know, and having this hotel is gonna be so good for us. So good for us, 'cause now her people coming in, that helps us get more money and more things like that.
Yeah.
So it's gonna help. And then once we increase, I found out today it's not just us, 'cause I thought, okay, how come everything's just like $100 people lower each event? And if that doesn't kill us, but how come? And it's not just us. Literally, the Shakespearean Festival told us today that there's like 25 Shakespearean theaters that have closed down this year. So, and summer games, everybody was just, you know, just a little down. Even the museum on Main Street, the Frontier Homestead State Park, they were down last year. So it was a little bit of everybody. I think a boost of economy might help us, and if we stay happy, people will come. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Jet.
Thank you, Jet.
All right, next we're going to hear from our police chief, Addison Adams.
Smile.
I feel like we should be playing, like, music, you know, like Come On Down music or something.
Yeah, that's good. How are you?
Good.
Pretty good.
All right. It's your favorite time of year. You get to hear what we've been doing all year. We were approved a sixth officer in July. We've had some grief getting that officer up and running. He's at post right now. He'll be graduating and ready to come to work February 27th. So we're looking forward to that for sure. So we're still been doing it all, the majority of all of our work has been with 5 people still. So in 2024, PPD handled 270 property crimes, which are theft, criminal mischief, trespassing, those kinds of crimes. 165 crimes against persons, assault, sex crimes, domestic violence, etc. 60 drug and alcohol related crimes, 385 medical or emergency calls, 299 agency assists with Highway Patrol, Bryan Head Marshals, DCFS, etc. 1,060 civil or neighborhood preservation calls. Those include things like code enforcement, issues that I know no one thinks we do. 233 follow-up investigations to calls that are not involved in the previous numbers. We also made 626 traffic stops on top of completing 306 other documented incidents like citations, arrests, and warrants served. So in 2023, we handled 1,170 dispatched calls to service. 2024, that number jumped to 1,228, not a huge jump. Some of the numbers were up, some of them were down, pretty much on par with previous years. As for calls for service, we're pretty close to where we were last year. We were 2,911 calls for service for a population of 3,800 and change. Enoch Police Department was 3,600 calls for service for about 8,800 people. Bryan Head Marshals were at about 2,000 and change for 290 people. and SUU was at about 2,700 for 12 to 14,000 students. So the numbers were pretty close to where they were last year. We handled them like we did everything last year. Our numbers of reports went up a significant amount, which we always shoot for each officer handling about 150 reports a year seems to be what the job should be looked at handling. Last year we handled 272 per officer. This year we're up to 285 per officer. We're hoping that when we get our sixth guy up and running and hopefully can become full staffed, we'll take some of that pressure off. Overall, the department is healthy and happy, and hopefully we just stay that way. Appreciate your guys' support. Any questions?
One question
Yes,
on
sir.
the population. Does that include Paraguna?
No.
We're 38.
Well, no, yes, it does, sorry. That's going from, I took those population numbers from the World Population Review, was done in 2024. That's what they had listed as the population for Parowan area.
For
And
the
it
area.
may,
I'm
it
pretty
may,
skeptical
it may
about that
include,
number.
what's that?
I said I'm pretty skeptical about that number. It may include the outlying area.
That's what I mean.
Probably
Yeah.
includes
Paraguna.
Paraguna.
But we respond to all of that too.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I said, you respond to
Yeah,
Paraguna.
so I think
that's
it's
what
the whole Parowan Valley.
Thank you for all your hard
Okay.
work
Thanks.
Yes, we
for this
appreciate you.
presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Annie.
Chief.
Thanks.
All right, we're gonna move from our staff reports, and we very much appreciate you coming and making those reports and updates to our council and to the city, to the residents. So now moving into action, we moved item number 18 up, so we will start with that as action meeting item number 11. It's consideration and possible approval of the disposition of Parowan City real property to Rex Burton, a portion of A-0017-003-0002. Do we have a background on that?
Absolutely. I am going to bring up a map online. Hang on just a second. Mr. Burton approached the city. There's quite a long saga that has been going on regarding this property for how many years would you say? 50 years? 45 years. Way back when there wasn't nearly as many houses around and things, Rex approached the city for a building permit for a home. We are zoomed in on 200 North and 300 East. This was back when 300 East was the edge of town. There was if you look through the old minutes, there was a flood channel, some sort of a drainage that went down 300 East, and approached the city about building a house right where 200 North exists now. At the time, there was no 200 North. This property wasn't there in existence like it is today with the, I don't even think the fairgrounds were there.
Oh, yeah.
Were they there already?
Yeah, they've been there for a long time.
The rodeo grounds were there, but not the Valentine Sports Complex or any of that.
Fairgrounds.
So just the fairgrounds and the other was there.
Yeah.
We didn't have a master transportation plan. And anyways, came in and approached the city about building right where there is this road now. At the time, the council and the attorney discussed it and said, you know, we would like you to not build right there because we may want 200 North to go through in the future. And so, Mr. Burton agreed to move his house to the south, and they asked him about that property. At that point, he said he would give it to the city. In the minutes, it captured the city attorney saying, you can either give it to the city now, or you can just build your house, and if the city ever wants the road to go through, they can. And Mr. Burton said, no, I'm happy to just give it to the city. So he gave it to the city. It was the length of the property and the width, which is 60 feet. So he built his house. Number of years went by. The city approached him and said, you actually built your house on the front property line, because it hadn't been, I don't know, they didn't have a good survey or something like that, and said that his house was on the, at the time, the front property line came through, approximately through his front porch, somewhere in there, in the house. I don't know, I'm representing this secondhand as he explained it to the council and to myself and the mayor. Anyways, we've reviewed all of the minutes of this. So at that time, the city asked him to, basically give up this property in the back in exchange for property in the front, which is how this current shape came to be, and how the city ended up owning property behind his house, because they moved that so that the front property line would not be in his house and would line up with the rest of this street. Mr. Burton is asking the city for essentially to make him whole for the amount of property that he voluntarily gave up when there was no legal reason to do so. Today things work a little bit differently, but back then they didn't. And in the same amount of square footage as he gave up, he would like to gain that of the city parcel back here that he was required to give up when the property lines were shifted, making him whole back to 1970, whatever it was, 1979. So that's what essentially we have in front of us. Our attorney has looked at it. Do you want to? I don't want to put words in your mouth. Do you want to just? You want me to read what you said?
No, you're right. I think it's an equitable question. I looked at the arguments that would be presented on both sides. And I think that Mr. Burton's kindness to the city, when he acquiesced that property and now he's faced with a different pressure, here we are 45 years later with respect to the back of his property, and I think it's good government and good neighboring to accommodate him in the fashion he accommodated us. That said, if there were a lawsuit, I think he would be a sympathetic plaintiff, and I would not want to, tell me to, but
Is your microphone on? I don't know if it's on.
I hope not. I would not want the city side of it, and so it's my recommendation that we grant his request.
And to be clear, what his request with, I asked Mr. Burton if he would be willing to cover the surveying cost to come up with a legal description that could be put on a quitclaim deed. He's not asking for that whole parcel. He's asking for the same amount of square footage as he dedicated to the city back then, which would be the majority of this parcel, but not all of that parcel that is immediately to the east of his property.
Which is 60 feet of
Well,
that parcel?
it would be 60 feet by the length of his property. You remember how many? 99 by 115 comes up to a square footage number that would then be carved out of the back of this, which he was forced to give up when we moved the property line forward. 60 by 189. And he's in a walker today. Otherwise I'd say, come up to the microphone. I'm just going to repeat what he just said to me.
Well, I was going to say we could also hand him the microphone.
Oh yeah, we can hand him the mic.
Thank you.
That's thinking.
Originally, it was, we gave 60 feet by 189 feet, but the equitable amount would be 99 from the back of our property now, and 115, well, 99 point something and 115 point something, but going to the south, I guess, or wherever that goes. That's what the property would be. I'm sorry, I'm on pain pills, so.
You're fine. And we do have this all written down. We're not
Yeah.
going verbally off of what he's just saying over the microphone. The question is really about the equity and do we feel comfortable with proceeding. What I don't want to do is have him go spend the money to have that surveyed and come up with that new legal description if we're not inclined to do it. So that's why my thought was we could give a conditional approval to approve that as long as it was the same square footage that he gave up back in 1979. If the council would give that approval, then he can go ahead and spend the money, do the surveying, have the deed drawn up, and having received that conditional approval, as long as it's within what we voted on, then the mayor could sign it. That's what it boils down to.
All right, how would you like the motion to be read? Like, do you want us to give square footage or just conditional approval for this parcel? Dependent upon the survey?
Jeremy has something he wants to add.
I'm just wondering if when we do the survey, can we include the existing power line in an easement that goes across the back of the existing property? We have an overhead line that crosses somewhere in that area with two down guys. It's probably not in an easement, maybe prescriptive, but can the survey include that so that we don't have to relocate power lines later, if that's not
I think it's
too much
very
heartburn?
very appropriate.
Thank you for jumping up with that.
Yep.
It's important.
It's not back.
I'm gonna bring up the viewer so we can see that, what it looks like.
What if we asked him to remove that property line between what he's trying to add on, so it's one whole piece?
So you're saying define one new lot rather than two separate lots?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's the way it was
so that
before,
brings up a point. If we just deed that portion of that lot, did we just create a new buildable lot?
Yes, you would.
So this is the power pole. You can see the shadow that comes off. That's what you're talking about, Jeremy? And so that's an overhead line that comes here and it services these two homes. Correct. So what Jeremy's saying is if we were to deed basically part of this parcel that looks about like that, we would want an easement to cover our power line, which is smart. And we would have a prescriptive easement, but it didn't matter because it was on our own property. Now it
may be on Mr. Burton's property. I don't know exactly where it's at.
Well, if it's a
existing property line, but
They can do the deed subject to all existing easements, and they'll know how to do that.
it looks to me like that power line runs about right through the middle of that property, and it would take, this would include it, I'm telling you it would include it, but they could do the deed and include it. Be pretty easy to do. Depending on how much acreage that is, it could create a buildable lot, which now we're talking about, basically adding in some entitlements there, unless we do what Councilman Harris said and actually just redefine this lot out there as part of the sale.
That would be whole as one as what it was before.
Right. I'm gonna figure the approximate acreage. I can't remember about how much of that lot it was. It seems like it was the majority of it.
It was the majority.
Huh?
Like,
All but 15 feet or something.
15 feet from the back.
Well, let's just estimate it and see if it's a buildable lot. Yeah, it's quarter acre.
Yeah, I believe it is.
Yeah, it's like 11,000, so.
How do you feel about that, Rex? If we were to say we'd do it conditional that you combine it into one lot?
You know, I'd be willing to do anything. I know having it separated would be a good thing for us, but put one would be okay.
I mean, you could split it in the future with a minor lot subdivision process, which would require bringing to the city a water, portion of a water right to service the new connection. That's what it really boils down to. How much are we giving you here? And you know what I mean?
It's like I have zero problem with this happening. I just, you know, put it back as the way it basically was, just turn in another direction. So I think he rightfully deserves to get that land back.
All right, is there any other additional discussion, or are we ready to, someone ready to make a motion?
Well, I'll make the motion if I know what I'm like how we want it worded, is what I'm saying.
Scott, do you feel comfortable if they make a motion to approve this?
Yes.
As long as the square footage is the same, create
Yes, I
one
think
new lot?
It's my recommendation. That's a concession by Mr. Burton. I think that, I mean, had he not given up that other property, the city would have probably had to condemn his home. I mean, I don't know, it had to pay him, and so here we are 45 years later, and I don't know what the index would be of the value of property that he hasn't used and enjoyed for 45 years, but now all he's saying is not the increase in the value of the property that I gave to Parowan, didn't have to, 45 years ago, but now how about you just deed back to me the same amount of property that I gave to you, which I think is beyond reasonable. As far as him building a buildable lot or not a buildable lot, or to me, that gets into, if he's fine with that, he's fine with that. He would have to come back and do a minor lot subdivision if he or decided to sell it in the future and allow someone to build a residence there. That'd be an issue for a different day, but he certainly doesn't have to. But he's a very nice man. He's always shaking his head. Yes, whatever you need. And so I would say that's up to him right now.
I mean, like, if y'all wanna leave the line there, it's not like that big of a deal to me either, but it's just like, I just didn't know if it'd stir up something if we didn't make it one. So it don't matter to me. If y'all wanna just leave it one or two separate lots.
Leaving it two separate lots would be our preference, but it's up to the city council. We just appreciate everything that you're doing.
And it's been a long time coming, so it's like, whatever you wanna do.
Well, if he prefers to have it as two lots, I say that's maybe the direction we should go.
Which is fine with me.
Okay, I'll take a stab at it. You guys just tell me if it's wrong or if you need me to change it or add something back. I move to motion that we conditional approve the disposition of Parowan City real property to Rex Burton, portion of A-0017-0003-0002.
Say, identical to the square footage that was required to be given up.
Identical to the square footage that was required by him from Parowan City to give up.
I'd second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. The motion carries.
So whenever you get that, Rex, whenever you get that deed drawn up, just come and talk to us and we'll review it and get her signed.
That's okay. I just want to say thank you from the city manager and our mayor and all city councilors and our city attorney. Thank you so very much for your consideration, your kindness on this, and Mayor, congratulations on your award.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you,
Rex,
Mr. Burton.
Thanks.
Rex, get home and put your leg up.
Yeah.
Hey, don't forget, that new knee, we're swing dancing at Parowan's birthday again. I know, you have 1 year.
All right, now we're moving to action meeting item number 12. It's the Administrative Code Ordinance 2025-03.
Kelly, do you want me to give it back to you? Or I do. Well, I'm gonna have to find it. Wasn't planning on bringing it up. Do you? Okay, go ahead. I don't have it loaded. Click my button. So this was an item that was brought to Planning Commission. Nope, the next one. Yeah, this is the Bush lot split. Oh, admin code. Sorry, they're next. That we changed the numbers and got me fouled up. Never mind. Hold up on that. So this was the admin administrative code, which we already discussed, or started to.
So we spent quite a bit of time reviewing the code. We've had now a public hearing, and so it would now be up to the council to approve that by roll call vote.
I'll make a motion to approve the admin code ordinance 2025-03.
I second it.
All those in favor, starting with Councilmember Topham?
Rochelle Topham, aye.
David Harris, aye.
John Dean, aye.
Sharon Downey, aye.
David Burton, aye.
All right, thank you. That motion carries. Moving now to item number 13. This is the Bush subdivision amendment lot split. I don't know if you want to approach or if you...
Yeah, put the number 12 up there. Well, put the other one up with the yellow around it, and then we'll come back to the slope. I'm sure we'll be discussing all of that.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Charlene Bush, and my husband Barry and I live at 1118 West, 575 South in Valley Heights Estates. So the reason this lot split has come to you is because over a year ago, Barry and I were trying to be proactive and trying to figure out how to best care for my aging mom. So we inquired about building an external ADU on our property. At that time, it wasn't allowed, so we were told that maybe we could look into splitting our lot. And we understood that we would have to pay for water rights, pay for a survey, do all the paperwork, send out letters to our neighbors. And we did all that and went to the planning and zoning meeting thinking that we had covered all our bases, and apparently we did not, so we had to go back and pay for another survey, just a little one. But during that time, that process, you approved an external ADU ordinance or code for the city. So now we actually can build an ADU on our property. But through all this process, we feel that it's probably better for us to subdivide our lot and have it be separate and build an 1800 plus home on that lot instead of building a 1200 square foot ADU on our own property. But that is not our decision to make, and that's why we're here, and we trust your judgment, but we just figured we'd put in the time and paid the money to get to this point, so you guys get to decide. And if you have any questions, we're here.
Thank you.
So could I discuss the whole issue that got Planning Commission all into a sideways twist, and it left somewhat unresolved from that meeting? The Planning Commission, they decided to send it forward to City Council, but they asked to have the Bushes get a survey done of the slope. The reason why that matters, and if you were in that Planning Commission, it was a long one, it was a doozy, but we had an engineer in the meeting, Tim Watson, and he so graciously helped talk about it. Anyways, so the Bushes went back, spent even more money, and they had Steve Woolsey survey the lot on the prevailing slope, the direction prevailing slope. And, so Callie, if you could bring up that other one. No, it's the other one. Sorry, the next one. The third one. So this is what Steve Woolsey had drawn up. If you look at the very top corner of the property, as it exists now in one lot and goes down through it, there was a slope of 9.04. We were doing napkin math in the meeting on just the lower portion, and we were coming up with like 8 point something. It was a small number that would have rounded down to 8, and that's why they were like, well, we're not really sure, but send it forward. When we actually look at the lot in its entirety, we now understand why this subdivision was required to have a 2-acre lot. I won't go into a lot of detail, but our hillside development standard, when the slope reaches a certain point, the lots have to get larger, and the main purpose is that you don't disturb so much soil that you end up having a slide in the future. So there are most of the lots in this subdivision are 1-acre lots. There are several lots that are 2-acre lots because they're on a steeper slope, and there's even one lot that's even steeper in the corner that's a 4-acre lot. That was due to our code. So we're kind of right on the edge. We are 1 point above the slope. If you divide this lot, one of the lots will have close to an 8. The other one, mathematically, we don't have only the slope of it, but it'll probably be closer to like a 10. On average, they're 9.04. So that's the technical consideration. I had a conversation with Aldo earlier, and I have a conversation with a couple of the council, wondering if there's a way that we could, mitigate slope to be able to allow this. I mean, there's nothing to say you guys can't allow it. It would be going against our ordinance unless some concessions are made. Planning Commission was somewhat split. Their administrative decision would probably be, if it's outside of ordinance, giving a negative recommendation. But the question that was kind of arise the past few days, is there something they could do to mitigate that and still move forward with it? Dave, do you want to share what your thought was?
Well, I thought if we do it, if they put a retaining wall up on the 265-foot side to allow the slopage to be good on their side, where the wall would maintain the height to keep their percentages where they would be under, be in the 8% or less range, and then if you have a retaining wall between the two, that the other side now is at its 8% or less marks.
So, and I was talking to Aldo about that idea. Aldo, maybe you come up. Aldo, we poached Aldo from Bryan Head, where they deal with slopes and issues like that with building, and they've had slides. Aldo had some thoughts about that as well.
When we had to deal with this up there, what we would require is get a geotech opinion on it. They could come in and do a test on the soil, take a look at it, and give their recommendation if they needed to do retaining wall, how that wall would be designed. They had to drive pilings into the ground to support whatever structure they were doing so it didn't move down onto the other lot. That's how we would handle it up there. And so if you're looking for a variance or be able to grant a variance that way, that's how we would justify it.
Yeah, 'cause you gotta retain your own
Now, in
water.
this case,
you have to.
there's already a house on the upper lot, so it's kind of hard to go back in and say you got to do something to this upper house to keep it from. But is there something that could be done? We're just over the edge, but if there's a slide and we granted it and it's against our own code, that's why people come back and sue cities. I hate to beat the liability drum, but I did like the idea of getting an opinion from a geotech engineer that would say, in this case, that's willing to put their signature on something and give it to the city that says, we think this is okay given these mitigations. We throw the wall out there as an idea or something like that.
Would that require on that side of the lot, the existing lot that wouldn't conform where the house is, would they have to bring fill in where you put that wall in on that side?
Well, no, see, here's the thing, 'cause the lot below it is at like an 8% slope. Where there would be a problem, let's say they sell this lot in the future to somebody else, and they come in and they start excavating, right, and create a toe on, that now all of a sudden could create or sliding from the lot above it. So what we would really want to do would be to hold back anything if a new developed lot came in and started digging in and undercutting the ground. Because that's what happened, that's what would create the sliding.
But you wouldn't have to try to equalize the other lot, you know, reduce that slope.
Right. But again, like Dave is right, that's probably how you'd go about fixing it. You'd create something to stabilize it.
Get a barrier to hold it.
But we would probably want somebody that actually has an engineering degree to say, this is what we'd recommend. And therefore, if there is a slide, the city's not on the hook.
Like, I would bet the wall would be high enough that you probably would add dirt up to it, so I bet that they're not just gonna leave a big old hole along that wall, so.
Right.
I've seen a lot of crazy stuff done with retainage, so.
Yeah.
With enough dollars, you can build anything.
So what would we do? Could we just give an approval that says before a building permit is granted, we would wanna see a plan?
Yeah, something to justify the variance. Just
Yeah.
to make sure you jump through those hoops.
Why don't you come back up to the microphone?
So, if we did split the lot to build on it, we would have to do that.
Correct.
But we wouldn't have to do any of that to build a 1,200 square foot EADU.
Is a 1,200 square foot EADU,
Because our
how big is your house?
2,500 square feet.
Yep, there's nothing that says this is all about the size of lots, and the EADU could be built. I would go into a whole other section, but it would just confuse this section. So yes, you could build an EADU without doing that.
Okay.
We would still recommend you don't undercut and create a slide problem.
And you choose to flood your own property.
Okay, so I won't go into all the detail, but when it comes to slopes, the greater the slope, the less percentage of the ground you can disturb of the native soils and all of that stuff. And a 1,200 square foot EADU, as long as you didn't go in and disturb all of that, you would still be under that percentage, because it's just as it gets really steeper, it gets less and less and less. It gets down to 50%, then it gets down to 25%, but that's when you get into some steep slopes.
Okay. Just, yeah.
Yep. So to answer your question,
Thank you.
not officially, but yeah. Yep.
Well, the lot they wanna create will comply.
Yeah, it would make their lot where their house is non-compliant.
Right, but the one they wanna create would
comply.
under
That's
compliance,
correct.
so.
Yeah, you'd have one lot that's conforming and one lot that isn't.
But they've already got a house on the non-conforming.
Exactly.
If you split it.
Well, you still have a house there.
No, I'm just saying, if we split it, the non-conforming lot, yes, now has a home on it.
So it's one of the most important parts of this, that if it's an EADU, it would be the same property owner as opposed to parting it and selling it to a separate property owner. So you wouldn't hold yourself responsible if your own property slid into your other property. Okay.
Yeah, EADU could not be sold, so.
Right.
They're retained to the property owner, yeah.
I appreciate them doing their homework with the neighbors too. I mean, every property that butts up to your property, they're okay with it, and they're 2 acre lots. But then everything below this anyway is 1 acre lot, so. I'm not too deep of a thinker, but it seems like not a huge problem.
So, if you split those lots, you have to consider your water connections and your sewer connections and your power connections.
They have, we've talked to them about
Okay,
that.
all right, just wanted to make sure.
What would an engineering? I don't even. Just a guess? Oh, okay.
I don't imagine it'd be too crazy.
And they know about the water ordinance.
Yep, they do.
And the main reason we wanna do this, like Charlene said, for her mom, because we just went through this with my mom just passed away. And we're getting older too. And our current home on the top, on the property would be non-conforming with the house already on it, which is kind of oxymoron there in a sense, but, we don't wanna build an ADU for her mom if her mom passes away. Now what do we do with this house? We sell it, we can't, no, we rent it, we have renters, I don't wanna be be in charge of that. Build a house that perhaps when Charlene and I get older, we maybe move from that house down to that house. It's a single level, that's got water halls and such, so we're looking at the long term. We don't wanna damage our neighborhood, we wanna keep it nice, we wanna have nice homes in it. So we're not looking to be people that have a house like that, then become renters, and the rest of our neighbors go, hey, that's not fair.
So if you don't wanna be a renter, you'd probably sell your house if you build another one and give another family a house.
We love where we live.
I know, but I'm just looking in the future.
Yeah. All my friends live there. You saw those, the deer walking through the yard.
Yes,
There was
a
deer
nice,
bedding in his
nice
yard
four
today.
point.
All right, we appreciate you adding that information. That helps also, just helping the council come up with their motion and their consideration on this request.
So just to summarize, your options are approve it as is without any conditions, and potentially someday there could be a problem and we may have some liability. 2, approve it and say before you get a building permit, you're gonna have to show us the geotechnical engineering that it works and comply with any recommended mitigation. Or 3, not approve it and they build an EADU, but it's not exactly what they want. I guess those would be your 3 options. Option 2.
I'll make a motion to approve this lot split based on a conditional, is it a conditional permit that we'd give them based on that before they get a building permit, that they get a geotech, what do you call, engineering?
Geotech report, soils report.
Yeah.
And that specifically addresses this issue. A commercial business, they're gonna have to do a geotech report. Residential usually don't, but in this area, we would require it.
So is that good enough?
I think so.
And they would have to complete the recommendation before they would be able to have their permit approved.
Right, they'd have to get the geotech, I guess, the report, and then everybody agree to it and issue the building permit.
Yeah, but you make clear you approve the split.
Yeah.
I did, I said, I make a motion to approve this lot split based on the acquisition of a geotech, report prior to a building permit being issued, and then that report being approved.
And we would just wanna record that on the deed as it's split. Otherwise, 20 years from now, the building permit actually gets pulled. You know what I mean?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are now moving to item number 14, and this is our power rate resolution 2025-01. We do have our power department head, Jeremy, here, if he'd like to come up or not, but obviously this has been a belabored discussion, and we find ourselves at this point now. And I don't know if you want to give any background, Jeremy. I know we've been talking about this for a while, but there are people here tonight that haven't.
Don't touch that. That should go straight.
Thank you.
Mayor, can I, before Jeremy starts, I want to address the issue that came up in the public comments, because I've been getting additional information, studying even more on that. This is what I have found, and it conforms to what I've found before, but I got a little bit better detail, and this is from the Public Service Commission itself. The Public Service Commission does not, it has a rule that says that you have to notify customers, and it says how you have to do it. It also says on the Public Service Commission's page that they do not govern municipal power, and therefore their rules don't. If you go in deeper, it says to pass any fee or change, we have to do it by resolution. If you go into our city code, under service rates, under power department, So I'm quoting 7.02.020, all the way down to number Q, service rates. It says the rates charged for electric services shall be established by resolution of the city council from time to time after recommendation from Power Board. So we followed our own city code. Power Board's given a recommendation. We've discussed it. I don't know in how many meetings, public meetings. We're about ready to maybe pass a resolution, maybe not, following our rules for passing resolutions. And the Public Service Commission itself says it does not apply to city municipal power. So just in case anybody was wondering whether or not we have the ability to do this, we do.
Thanks, Dan. So yeah, like Dan said, we went, in November, and talked about this at Power Board. There was a, Power Board discussion to move it to council, talked about it in council in December, and now we're here for the action meeting. But, we started this honestly about 2.5 years ago when we did our, original, cost of service study with Utility Financial Solutions. They gave us a 5-year rate projection. Recommended we do small incremental increases annually rather than coming back 3 or 4 years from now and needing an 8 to 10% increase. So the first year we just approved the first year of, which was this last fiscal year, we approved a 2.2% across the board increase. And that's what we're asking for tonight is another 2.2% for the next 4 years. But doing it on fiscal year instead of, or on calendar year instead of fiscal year. Each rate class gets a little bit different percent, but combined, it's a 2.2% rate increase.
Each year?
Each year.
Okay.
Which, unless we have, you know, if our equipment,
That other one.
transformers, wire become a lot more expensive or a lot less expensive, we will want to readdress the cost of service study, which dictates these numbers. And as Dan has on the spreadsheet, the power cost adjustment charge varies with our power purchase costs. Most of the other charges are just operational costs and equipment and stuff like that.
So Jeremy, this says that the PCA varies, so is that gonna be any way relation to the increment of increase, or is that just gonna be on that scale that was already?
Yeah, the PCA will vary with power purchase costs, which I fill out a spreadsheet every month, which was also built by UFS. And that dictates our power cost adjustment based on what the city pays for power through our UAMPS bill, minus what we sell to the residents, minus generation from our hydros. That gives us a
But this
PCA.
does have an adjustment built into the energy charge, reducing the PCA, but it builds it into the energy charge.
Correct, yeah, so.
That's built into that energy charge you see.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit in December. The recommendation from UFS was to move a penny, out of the PCA and into the rates. So for the last billing cycle, our PCA was, 0.0265, so 2.6 cents. But if we approve this resolution, we will move with these numbers here, it'll already have a penny moved out of the PCA. So now our PCA will be 0.01 or 65 instead of 0.0265.
Okay, so it'll come.
But then next month, depending on power costs, could go up or down. We were trending down towards the 2 cent mark, but November's power bill was like $135,000 and December's like $113. But I think, you know, March, April, then shoulder months, I think we'll trend back down closer to where we're like a penny on the PCA.
So that in essence will help offset the increase. I mean, if you're shifting that from PCA, you won't be charged.
So you're still, in effect, paying the same amount, it's just billed differently. So say right now our rate, we'll take residential is basically 9 cents, 0.0898, 9 cents. And say the PCA's been about 2 cents, that's an 11 cent, combined. So now our rate's gonna go basically from 10 and 1, or 10 and a half and 1, 10 and 1, so still 11 cents. Cause your PCA and your energy charge are based off of just kilowatt hour usage. So whatever you use on kilowatt hours gets that 0.0898 cent charge and the variable PCA charge.
Okay.
So we're just basically shifting the way it's billed, but they're monetarily, if you use 800 kilowatt hours, it's going to be equivalent.
Right, right. That's what I was trying to get it,
Yeah.
kind of equalized. Okay, thank you.
And I think our power costs will start going down a little bit.
With the new administration, they should.
Yeah.
Drill, baby, drill, right?
That's
Well, and
the
I know
hope.
this recommendation made 2.5 years ago, I thought we need to do this, it's just not something we easily do. What were you gonna say? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, I'd hate to come back in 4 years and need an 8 or 9% when we can incrementally do 2. And obviously, we'll still keep an eye on our cost of service. If that decreases, we can readdress this at any year.
Yeah, I drilled Jeremy earlier today about this, and like, okay, so if stuff does go down, we're not gonna just keep bumping up. We will be able to stop and or possibly adjust down, so.
Yeah. And all these numbers are,
Yeah.
I mean, the odds aren't ever good usually for going down, but.
yeah, historically, but we've also been on extreme increases in everything, so maybe there's a tipping point.
And I think everyone's just not used to this, because this isn't what power used to be like.
Right.
All right, is there any other discussion, or are we ready to have a motion on, this resolution for this power rate adjustment 2025-01?
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the power rate resolution 2025-01.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor by roll call vote, starting with Councilmember Burton?
David Burton, aye.
Sharon Downey, aye.
John Dean, aye.
Dave Harris, aye.
Rochelle Topham, aye.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you, that helped me.
Sorry you couldn't go back and Gail and tell them some good news, but it's not terrible news. We're working hard.
Good night.
Sure.
Go into effect.
Would be, Dan, is it our next bill, or Jeremy, you wanna come up?
Go into effect the next time we calculate bills. Jeremy, can you answer that? Yeah. You know the exact timing of that.
Approach the mic carefully.
Yes, I won't touch the mic. I don't want you to get scared again. Yeah, so our meters read tomorrow, and bills usually go out on the 1st, so, I think we should implement it on the next bill. We wanna do it calendar year, which we're in January now, so, our recommendation from UFS was to do it fiscal year, which would've been in July, and we've pushed it out 6 months already. So, on the next billing, which you get on February 1st, the increase will be on there.
All right,
I have a question about that. This is a question.
you're great.
I'm kinda wondering, is that a little bit of an ex post facto, where you have already used that power, and then now we're told we're gonna have the increase on that power we've already used? So it's just a question, I'm just asking, 'cause I've gotta go back and talk to him, but, I thought, if you've already used that power, can you then bump the charges higher before the next billing?
So you're actually saying like wait 30 days?
Yeah, that
the
was
next
just,
month.
That's normally what we do when we bump our prices up where I am, is we have to let them know we're gonna do it, and it comes out the
So if we were to change that, we would have to change the wording in the resolution, 'cause the resolution wording says effective date, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon passage. Rate adjustments will commence on the next applicable billing cycle following the date of this resolution. Billing cycle, what is that defined as? If we say the next billing cycle is the next one that goes into effect, then it wouldn't be this one that we calculate now, 'cause that's, like she just said.
Yeah,
The intent was,
Yeah, you should
when
do
that
it
was
the
written,
next
was the
month.
next time we calculate bills. But I didn't say calculate bills, we said next applicable billing cycle, so.
Theory of this cycle's ended, so it should be the next one.
the billing cycle, well, meters read tomorrow, billing cycle ends on the 30th of the month.
So,
So the
I mean,
next-
Gail's not wrong that it,
The next
that
applicable
the bill
billing
that
cycle
be
would
increased
start
be for the previous
first.
usage.
Yeah, it should happen, I think, the following month.
I think we could do it the next one that starts next January, or next,
February.
first of next month, the January of the month. The next month, which would be the February billing cycle, which we then bill out at the end of February.
And continue that for the next 4 years.
No, because if you look at the, attachment, it says that these will happen in January every year. That's the way it is in attachment A.
So you'll have a rate increase in February, then 10 months later have a rate increase?
Yeah, 11 months later.
11 months. Do you want to make amendment then of the resolution?
I think if you define that, if you interpret the resolution wording that way, and you guys are comfortable with that, we can have it start February.
As it says the word next.
Yeah.
Is that what you're,
Next
Yeah.
billing cycle, that's a good point. And just so you know, I'm coming to your board meeting on Tuesday to talk about this. Yeah.
thank you.
both.
All right, moving now to item 15. This is approved Jones and DeMille update for engineering standards.
Okay, we talked about this in detail last time. The only thing to point out is just that we will need to do a budget amendment, as we do our year-end budget amendment. We do have money in the budget right now, it's just by the time everything comes through in engineering under, our planning and zoning, department, which is where this will have to go, we will eventually be over budget. So we will need to do an amendment, but, you can approve it and we can start working on it. In fact, Aldo scheduled the first meeting, we've already had it, and I told him, hey, by the way, you're not necessarily funded yet on this, you guys, and they said, we understand, we'll have our meeting anyway. So Jones and DeMille's ready to go, chomping at the bit, Aldo's ready to go, and we're ready to start getting it done if you're good with it.
How much was that again?
5,000.
Well, I move to approve the Jones and DeMille, update for engineering standards.
I'll second that.
We have to put in, amend the budget in that motion?
No, just know that you're gonna have to do that at that time,
Okay.
through that process anyways.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Now we are to item number 16. This is the update on the fee policy on the water laterals.
I won't touch it, I'll just have to stand tall, I guess. Here, Scott. So this is basically just coming back, we talked through this in the work meeting last go-around. So I'm just bringing it back to the council for a vote that you are okay with us changing the fees for the water connection, of going to having the homeowner pay the actual cost of the connection, and rather the city has the connection fee. So,
Do you remember the topic? Does anyone have any questions from the last council meeting?
No, I remember it. So you're asking that the homeowner, this just be included in the building fees?
yes, that they pay the cost to their contractor to do their hookup, and we'll set essentially just the meter fee of what the meter costs, and then an inspection fee on top of that.
So the customer will pay for the trenching and laying of pipe in the street,
Mhm.
then all we do is make the meter connection.
Yep, we'll just install the meter into
Right.
the setter.
So the fee would be appropriate,
Yeah.
whereas in the past it hasn't always been appropriate.
If you want to have us continue to do the laterals, just running through our parts and labor of what it would take us, I think right around the current fees in that 1,300 to 1,500 range, I can't remember quite what it was for the 1 inch, but that would jump to almost $5,000 for the connection. And when I looked and talked to different contractors around, I'm in their range of what they are charging to do this type of work in other towns, and so. with figuring our labor costs and manpower to be there by the hour with our equipment, that's where we're at.
Plus, we discussed your manpower is limited too.
Yep. And so, but I did want to put that out to the council, if you wanted us to continue to do these fees, there's gonna be a significant increase than what they currently are.
Well, isn't it most other towns and cities do that anyhow, have the contractors
Yes.
dig it?
Is that gonna limit who can do that? I mean, do they have to be bonded and have to
Yep,
have
they're
certain?
gonna have to supply us with a bond, which is not a bad thing. I mean, it's
Yeah.
gonna kinda tidy up the road break permit stuff. When they come to us, we'll have their insurance and their bonding on file, the 1-year warranty on the work that's done. And it does, when they come into the right of way, they have to be licensed a little bit higher than just
Right.
being on private on private.
So there may be some that won't be able to, yeah.
There may be.
But it'll free up our crews to be able to do other stuff.
It's the trade-off, you know,
Yeah.
to look at either ways. And like I said before, we're happy to do wherever work you want to assign us to that day. That doesn't faze us. We're good to go to work.
So is that gonna increase the cost to the homeowners? Well, I mean, are you gonna have contractors that are gonna overcharge?
That would be part of their bidding process. That's up to the homeowner. It
Yeah.
goes to the free
market.
out.
But you could give them an idea of what it should be.
I'm sure we could advise, but then I'm going against.
I know, but you know, some people.
I'm going against, commercial contractors.
I know, but some people need information.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is we can, when we start doing these water projects and stuff like that throughout the town, and start having the contractors upgrade our stuff as part of a project, they'll have an individual bid for services, so we can see numbers and, ballpark and all that kind of stuff, so.
Okay.
Are there any other questions from the council? All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to update the fee and policy on the water laterals.
Mayor, I move to update the fee and policy on water laterals.
I'll second that.
Since this is a fee, do we need to roll call, or is it just a regular vote, Callie?
If we're updating a fee, we actually need to do that by resolution. Are we updating the fee?
Or is it because we're dropping
made
the
a
service, we wouldn't need to do a resolution?
No.
Because we're dropping, we're not adding.
You're creating a fee or you're increasing a fee, you gotta do that by resolution.
Well, and we're taking
This is a
away.
policy.
Like a
Yeah, and
policy
we're
that
taking-
we aren't
yeah.
doing it anymore.
No,
This is
we're
a
taking-
policy.
All right,
We're fine to do it.
so all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any, any opposed? All right, that motion
Thank you.
carries, thank you.
Just might mention, we're gonna have to address our water fees
Yeah.
in addition to this.
All right, number 17 is the appointment of the subdivision review committee member. We talked about this in the past. We talked about it being by position, by individual, and so now we've come to a place where we need to approve an appointment of the subdivision review committee because we did have some things change in our planning commission.
Originally, it was gonna be the planning commission chair by title, and it would always be the chair. Then we discussed what if we wanted to change that. The way it was adopted in our subdivision code, it just says that the person will be appointed by the commission, the council. I talked to Jamie, she's our current commission chair. Like, we're happy to have it be that person, we just didn't want it to have to always be that person. Jamie said she'd be happy to do it. The other two by the committee are the zoning administrator, which is me currently, and our public works director. Those two will never change, but anyways.
So couldn't that, or wouldn't that allow the selection off from the zoning commission as a whole? It just wouldn't have to be restricted to the chair.
Right.
And so, I mean, in this instance, it may be.
Right.
But
In this instance, it would be if you guys wanted to, but yeah, it could be anybody who's qualified. We wanna make sure that they're qualified, that they deal with planning, zoning, subdivision type thing.
Well, isn't it somebody's gonna have to come off that, planning and zoning committee? It isn't just anybody at random, is it?
It does not say, the way we adopted it, it does not even say it has to be on the commission.
So how'd we come up with the chair?
We just asked her if she would do it. So she is the person we're selecting at total random, we're just selecting our planning commission chair. who is gonna be involved in these and be aware of it.
I think that needs to be changed, that it comes off from the Planning and Zoning Commission and just be selected, and whether it's the chair or a member, 'cause they're usually involved in that and know what's, going on.
Would have to amend
I know.
land use code, which would have to be a lot of work, public hearings and the whole deal.
Oh, we should've caught that.
Well,
You should've caught it, 'cause that's your opinion. I knew the way it was written, and I was like, I was fine
We
with it.
discussed it, though.
I know, and then when we did it, I said it again, that it's on there. We can always pick that person if we want, but it does not require to, I totally get what you're saying, I'm not arguing with you, I'm just saying.
Oh, I
A
know.
lot of work to pick.
I know, and I understand that, so. Okay, well, I would hope that we would use some common sense and do it that way.
I just wanted to make sure it was somebody that was intelligent, that was aware of these things, and wasn't somebody that answered to me.
Mhm.
I would hate to have a 3-person committee and the other 2 answer to me, right? That doesn't seem very democratic.
Okay.
So with that, the item is asking for the appointment of the subdivision review committee member, and in this case, it would be Jamie Bonnet, who is currently serving as the chair of Planning Commission.
I propose that we select Jamie Barnett as the subdivision review committee member.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, thank you, that motion carries, and we have our subdivision review committee. Now moving to item number 18, this is the appointment of Cecily Evans to the Planning Commission as an alternate. This was kind of a moment of aha when she was announced to be the Home Builders Association, the Iron County Home Builders Association Builder of the Year. And Dan was there and he said, we haven't had a builder on since Jake Hewlett, and so it would be great if we had Cecily Evans as an alternate. So I'm bringing Cecily to the council for approval to be appointed with your consent to be an alternate on our planning commission.
I move to approve Cecily Evans to the Planning Commission as an alternate.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. And thank you, Cecily, for being willing to take that appointment. She's not here tonight, but she is willing to do that, which is always great.
I was looking for you, talking like she was here.
Yeah, she's probably listening, or
And
she'll
she makes cakes, apparently, amazing wedding cakes.
probably
Hey,
making a cake.
you know, maybe if we need a snack, we
Cupcakes.
could have her.
Oh, and cupcakes?
All right, so now we'll move into our work meeting. Item number, we're back on track with our numbers, I think. Yep, 19. And I believe you're here from Yapify. You'll have to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your name of your company, because we've all been like, what even is Yapify? I know what Yapify is, but some of the council may not.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I feel like this is such a fun community, and I've learned a lot about the community tonight. I feel like I need to come back and run a marathon and go swing dancing and buy a split parcel or whatever. So it's a fun place to be. Oh, hopefully this is not providing too much feedback. Yeah, I'm here with Yapify. One of my colleagues reached out to city staff a couple of weeks ago about a potential grant opportunity that's being offered through the Division of Water Resources. So I had a great meeting with Aldo. We chatted a little bit about some of the solutions that we offer, and we just wanted to bring it before the council to see if some of these solutions might be a good fit for maybe challenges the city might be facing, and then also to see if there's interest in pursuing a grant from the Division of Water Resources. You asked about the Yapify name, not related to this presentation, but if you're familiar with Dr. Seuss, there's a Dr. Seuss book called Horton Hears a Who. And in there, you know, they're trying to be heard, they're on this speck of dust, and then at the very end...
I owe Callie $5, by the way. She said it was from Horton Hears a Who.
You knew that? Okay, well, we will give Callie a copy of the book then, because not very many people follow this. But there is a little boy who goes up and he yells, "Yop," and that's how they're heard. And so Yapify, our whole goal is to help with communication between cities, utilities, and their residents, so we can get the right message to the right people at the right time. We are a Utah-based company. We offer a variety of solutions, and we can cater our packages to work pretty well with a lot of different cities and their sizes and their needs. Our founders of our company are actually, they originally worked for large water providers in Utah, and just recognized some gaps in maybe the things they were trying to achieve and the technology solutions that were available to them. And so I'll chat through a couple of the solutions that we offer, but just know there's a wide range, and if there's other areas you'd like to explore, I'd be happy to dive into those a little bit deeper. We do serve quite a few Utah communities, and when it comes to the grant, we have a handful of these grant participants that we've worked with in the past. So this is the second year that the state is offering this grant program. Last year we had a handful of agencies that went through the program with us, so we're just trying to find good fits of partners that would be interested in doing it with us this year. And you know, I've learned a little bit more about your city. Some of our clients here, we're generally more water focused is where we started, but we've branched out and we provide service to several agencies that do power and water. And then listening to some of the other staff reports, just know I might be talking water because that's where the grant is, but there's a lot of applicability with other city departments as well. So across public works, but maybe even there's some ways to key in with your event staff, with the police department or other groups in the city that have a need to communicate out with residents. So just basic level, we help the city do messages out to residents. So the first type of messaging we do is geographic-based messaging. So you might imagine you have a construction project happening, maybe a road closure, maybe there's a service disruption, whether that be power or water, and you want to get a message out to residents with updates or letting them know what's going on. Typically, these types of messages are dependent on where someone's living, a certain street or a certain neighborhood. A boil order might be another example. With Yapify, we make it really simple to circle an area on a map, select a couple of addresses, maybe draw a circle or a square, and get that message out to residents that way. The second type of messaging that we do is more situational type messaging. So this is when your message, you don't really care about where someone's located, but it has more to do with maybe a specific account detail or their water usage or something like that. So you can imagine a past due notice. I'm not sure totally what city process is currently. A lot of communities will maybe put out a door hanger, send out a letter. With Yapify, you can just streamline that process a little bit with some texts and emails to add into your process. With the grant opportunity, I'll be talking a little bit more about some specific projects or initiatives we could pursue, but we can do a lot of cool things with pulling in some of your usage data. So we could have special messages for high water users, maybe linking them out to some rebate programs that are available through the state, and helping in that way. So I did just want to share kind of how it works. We work with a lot of different agencies, so we've built some custom configurations that allow us to use some of the platforms or softwares you're already using as a city to pull information into Yapify, where we can kind of bring that information together and then allow you to make smarter messages out to residents. So for example, I know talking to Aldo, I believe you use Polaris as your billing system. So that's an agency that we work really well with. Ian over at Polaris just has like a Yapify contacts feature that he turns on for our clients. So then you can pull out that file, we bring it into Yapify, so all of that contact information you're storing in your billing system, we can bring into our system and power the messages that way. We can also combine it with, we'll do some mapping using your GIS so that we can geolocate and specifically know where all of your service locations are. With the grant, we have the opportunity to add in some additional data connectors if the city is interested in pursuing that, where we actually, the way, and we'll show you this at the end, but the way we kind of designed the grant idea would be to have a configuration, a connector with both your power meters and with your water meters, so we can use that information as well to kind of power messages. So just so you know, we do offer a variety of channels. From our platform, you can send text, emails, voice to text. You could upload an audio file if you wanted to, and you can also do postcards and letters. And then we allow you to stack those channels. So the reason why this is often powerful or really important for a community is because no one I've ever worked with has a perfect contact database. You might have textable phone numbers here, some emails here, landlines here. And with Yapify, what you can do is set up your message and say, if I have a textable phone number, try texting. If not, I'll send them an email. If not, maybe a phone call. And kind of that last resort, we'll catch them with a postcard or a letter at the end. So it really helps you be able to maximize that reach in getting a message out to residents, especially in more of an emergency type situation. So I did just want to take a second, because I can talk all night, but I just wanted to show you a little bit of the platform. So this is what it would look like if your city had the Yapify platform. There's no login for a resident, but for your staff, they would be able to log into this Yapify dashboard. I'll show you, like I mentioned, we would bring all of your contacts and your locations into our platform. And we would map them, so we can kind of, this is just a demo, so obviously not your community. But we could kind of dive in here and start looking at different sections of the city. You'd see all of the different locations where you're providing service to. For each location, you could have one or many contacts associated with that location. If I came in here and I looked at a specific contact, you could see our communications history with that contact. So we're going to store all of that history with someone if they've had questions where they've called into the office or there's been something that you've worked through on a bill. We can kind of track and record that. This is just the one-to-one messaging option. So you could actually just send a text, email, postcard, or a letter to that single resident right from here. Where things get a little bit more fun is where we jump over to this broadcast section. This is where you can start to message larger groups of your residents at one time. You can start from scratch, or in many cases, communities like to pre-approve words that they know they'll want to use in a specific scenario, if that's an emergency or if it's just a routine communication. So if, for example, you might have a template for a past due balance, or I'll just go ahead and do a planned power outage, because I know that's one service that you do provide. You just come in here, you can attach a web link or use Yapify to put a notice on your website where you could provide more information if you wanted to. It's just a good way to give someone somewhere to go rather than messaging back or calling into the city. There's a variety of ways you could add residents to a message. You could just select a resident. You could use a smart tag that we would create for you, whether that's message all city council members or message the specific pressure zone. We could create those tags for you. Then the second way is selecting from a map. This, is kind of what I described already, where, sorry, I just zoomed way in. We could draw a circle on the map. You could search for a specific address and kind of start there, or you could draw a custom polygon around the area. And then on the screen, let me see if I can unzoom my screen now. There we go. And then the final way you could do this is just uploading a list of account numbers. So a lot of times we'll see billing staff, if they have their delinquent accounts, bring over that list, send out the message, and they're good. One of the fun things I feel like we've discovered through this type of communication is just the way it builds trust with residents. It's funny how just a simple change in the way a message is delivered can impact the way it's received. So, no one ever likes to see a delinquent notice hanging on their door, one of those red tags. But when they get a text message that says, hey, just so you know, your balance is past due, here's a link where you can make your payment, it becomes like a service the city is providing, which is beneficial and something that we enjoy seeing. So just for demo's purposes, I'm just going to select myself, put me in here. I'll click next. Like I mentioned, this is where you can see, you could send a text, you can send an email, you can send a phone call, I could add that here, or a postcard. Because this is a template, we've got our words already in here, but you could change that, start from scratch. This is our priority number saying, I'm going to send my email first, I'm going to send my text message second. And we do also have some AI message generation. That's just a tool to help staff if they're not sure what to say and just need a place to start. You could just enter in a prompt here like, water main break, working on it. Obviously, that's not a message I would send out to a resident. But if I generate messages, it can just give me a good place to start. Now it's telling me, here's a text message, here's an email message, and then I can go in and edit these to work better for whatever I want to say. So I'll just go in and send this by clicking next. Oh, what did I do wrong? Oh, it's because I turned this on without actually adding something. Okay. I can send it now, I can schedule these in advance if I have planned outages, and then I would just click confirm. This is telling me I have 2 priority ones, which is fine. And this is where you just kind of have the results page. So as it filters through, it's going to tell me if anyone was skipped because of missing contact information. It'll tell me if any of the messages failed, so I know if there's people that need additional outreach. So that's kind of the gist of like the main functions of the platform. In our advanced features with our advanced messaging and statements, this is where we get into kind of more of that grant area, where we would have data configurations with your meters, so we could power a variety of messages. So some examples of things that I kind of chatted through with Aldo would be potentially doing like a leak, like a proactive leak program, where we could bring in the meter information. If we sense that someone has a leak, then we can send them out a text message letting them know about that leak, maybe providing some resources about how they could find and mitigate that leak. We could set it up parameters, so it says, you know, if a leak is of this severity, we want to take this action. If it's this severity, take this action. Send a message, wait 3 days, and then send this message. And so there's a lot that we can do in that realm. And we can do similar things with power depending on the interest of the city.
Do you have anybody that's actively doing leak detection?
Yeah, I would say probably the best example is Washington City we actually...
No, I mean with Yelpify. Aldo's like, we do it. I know we do it, but we're calling and we're sending letters.
Yeah.
I just wonder if you have any cities that's automated completely with leak detection.
Yeah, I don't work directly with the cities on this, but I know Washington City is one that was especially getting on board with this process because they have a very robust leak program where they are doing a lot of manual phone calls, house visits, and so they've kind of just streamlined their existing process with Yelpify. So whatever your existing process is, we can kind of map to follow that. So if you start with a phone call, we'll start with a phone call. Or if you want to change it to a text, we can change it to a text. Other initiatives that we can do, like I said, is messaging to high water users, targeted promotion of conservation programs. So if there's like people who you can see would benefit from a smart controller, let's just tell them about the smart controller rather than everyone. So with the grant, it is a 50-50 cost share that the state is willing to provide. I put this up here. I know this was already shared with you. This is kind of what we would look at for a grant, and obviously some of this can be modified depending on what the city would want to pursue, but included in this estimate is 2 custom data integrations. So that was us thinking you would probably want to pull in your water meters and your power meters, and then some custom workflows and analytics related to both of those. So it would be, for example, setting up that leak program for you where you have those automations that can kind of be set. And then it also includes, because it's this grant opportunity, we front-loaded messaging credits for the messages that you would be required to send through the grant. That way you can get some cost share on those credits as well. The challenge...
I think you turned down our microphones, maybe.
Oh, I did? Oh.
No, it just seems like it's not as sensitive as it was. No, we were having some microphone feedback, so, and she was fixing volume. Is this cost after the grant is taken, like, is this our net cost, or is this before we would have grant?
Yeah, so what this one is showing you, if you see the Parowan City cost share, so that would be the city's cost. The total service costs above would be before the grant comes in. So the grant would cover for 3 years. So you can see the price, the first year, because of the implementation of those like custom data configurations, is the most expensive. And then after that, it drops down, but the years 2 and 3 still include quite a few professional service hours for grant fulfillment purposes. After the 3 years, it shows what the city's ongoing cost would be if they maintained this level of service, which this is Yelpify's highest package of service. It includes all of our advanced analytics and workflows. So that $11,469 would be without any grant covering. I did provide, and we can, depending on where the city wants to go, the grant has a deadline, so this is why we're kind of bringing it to city right now. The deadline to apply for that grant is next Friday, January 31st. We do have grant writers on our staff that if the city wants to pursue it, we would put together a draft application for city staff to review and then submit. So if this feels like something the city is interested in, I'd probably recommend going ahead and submitting the grant. You don't sign any contracts just to apply for the funding. If the funding's not received or is received, then you can make more official decisions at that point. If the city's like not that interested in the grant, I did also provide just a cost estimate of what it would look like for our standard package, which would do all of the messaging I demoed, but would not include those integrations to do like a leak program or some of those more advanced notifications.
So you didn't, like, you were about to start talking about power, and I interrupted you. Do you have, like, outage map, anything like that, where a customer can go online and look at an outage map or anything like that?
Any of that stuff that we could do, we're not currently doing an outage map for any of our clients. We're mostly focused on the sending it out, but it's well within the realm of what we are capable of doing. Any information that your meter can tell us, we can display back. And we can also use that information to power messages. Yeah. Any other questions?
How would this relate to the other system we've been looking at?
Similar. I think these guys are more water oriented, that also are integrating into power and some of those things with cities. The other company we looked at is really a power centric, that are now looking at how it could apply to other things as well. So these are pretty much similar things that they deal with. Us giving us some way to interact with our customers, to give them information, push information out via text, and so forth.
Is this the only one a grant's available for?
The grant is offered through the state for water. It would have to be under the auspices of, when we talk like leak detection and things like that, it would actually help us. We're trying to save water usage. Right. So it's all about water, but that grant is not specific to Yopify, but they're willing to help us design it and apply for us, basically.
Okay.
So we're going to have to do some thinking and some soul searching and things like that. We've had a presentation from another, you probably were aware, and we've been trying to figure that out. All of it represents additional costs that we hadn't budgeted for, so we're trying to be smart and wise with the city's money.
Yeah, and I'm happy to answer any questions tonight or later if you want staff to send additional questions later. I'm even happy to have our team start preparing an application, even if the city decides not to submit it, just knowing with that deadline approaching next week. Just in answering some questions about maybe what makes Yopify a unique solution from other solutions, one of them I would say is just our built-in integration with some of your existing systems. It's really a smooth, streamlined process pulling in information from a system like Polaris. We've done that a lot of times. And then the other thing that probably sets us apart is just our experience working with different city departments. We started in water because that's where our founders originated, but we have worked with a lot of cities on things like trash routes or power or even things like library type events. So happy to discuss any of those areas further.
And we have it scheduled to discuss with advice from our internal experts and stuff like that. We'll give you a chance to discuss it internally and to kind of debate between the two. But if you got any other questions for her, now's the time.
So it doesn't hurt, you're gonna get your grant writers to write a grant, and we just...
If we're interested in...
If we're interested, we go. If not, that grant goes someplace else.
Because we can't make a decision tonight, as you know, it's a work
Yeah,
meeting.
for sure.
But you're recommending that you could go forward with the grant process, and even if they awarded it, which they would, because we're Parowan. But we don't we're not contractually bound.
No.
Okay.
You're welcome to submit, see where things land, and then make a decision at that point. Because, I mean, that way you would know for sure. I think it would be a 50-50 cost share, but sometimes just depending on how many applicants there are for a grant, they would come back and you would know your numbers.
What's the date of this grant needing to be submitted?
It's a week from tomorrow. it's not a difficult application. So I know if you're experienced with some of like the Bureau of Reclamation, those ones are like a beast and you wouldn't be starting right now. This one is very manageable. We could definitely have something ready by next week.
When would you need to know?
Like I said, probably the sooner the better, but I could always just tell them, go ahead and start, and if you don't submit it, that's fine, it's part of our process, so.
I don't think it hurts to have them start it.
Yeah, I think you need to do it.
So I think we'll discuss and then we can get back to you tomorrow, Monday. We don't need an official decision from the council, but we'll discuss with the council more and let you know.
And the application would have to be submitted by someone from the city, so you would have, you would know whether or not you're submitting it.
Where we get down to brass tacks is when we are signing an agreement with them or signing the approved grant documents.
Mm-hmm.
We could administratively say, give them the green light if we want to proceed, so.
Thank you. You're
Thank
very
you.
knowledgeable about your project.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you. Thanks. All right, that is the last item on our action meeting and, work meeting. Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about.
No, you're
Never
not,
mind.
David.
And I did not visit with each member of the council. Are we having a closed meeting this evening?
We are, yes.
Okay. All right, so we'll go into staff reports and we can start with Council Member Burton.
Okay, the Water Recharge, Committee met early Tuesday morning. And there was some figures brought to us about the the two pipelines, the diversion and things, so that hopefully, get worked on. And I mean, it's getting to a point, I think Dan can elaborate on, but they're gonna walk the line and hopefully get things kinda nailed down to where we can get this out to bed and get started on it, so. We met, let's see, today, maybe Dan and the mayor, the city manager and the mayor may want to comment about the MOU meeting, but I left very positive after I met with those individuals afterwards, and they really are supportive, that school district. And I appreciated that, gave me a new perspective. So, the planning zoning met. They addressed a few different things. Reed Erickson, he gave a presentation on some general plan amendment in the county change, from tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 type thing in the rural. But he's gonna have I think there's gonna be some open house or some presentation on February 6th and 10th I have written down. I think one of them will be a commission meeting. I don't know, the other's on a Thursday, so I don't know what that is, so. The county's doing some different, zoning on the areas that are adjacent to the municipal areas. The planning and zoning, let's see, they discussed, an ordinance change on preschool designation versus daycare. I think they wanted to change it to preschool, through 12, what kind of thing, but it's gonna have to have public hearing. That'll be on February 5th, I believe. And at the regular meeting, the planning and zoning meeting, they approved a conditional use application for the Maverick sign on the one down on the south interchange. And they approved a public hearing after a lot of discussion on the storage container for the same night, February 5th, at their regular meeting. And then there was some appeal authority discussion where that's leaning to, they didn't do any approval. What'd they do on that? I mean, it was towards a one person.
They approved the concept. We're gonna bring back actual language the next meeting for them to look at the language. And then as soon as if they're good with the language, then they'll set a public hearing.
Okay, thank you. And then they did an airport overlay update. So they kinda reviewed that. Anything you wanna add on that, Dan?
Nope, just that we already have an airport overlay. The Utah code required us to have one and to start enforcing it. And so we're looking at ours to make sure that it's up to snuff. Airport board is looking at it. We'll have a recommendation on some definitions and things, and then it'll go to planning commission. Then it'll eventually come here.
Okay. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Downey.
The only meeting I've had is the Patchwork Byway today. And it was just their first annual meeting, and they accepted the budget and they elected the same officers. But what they did talk about on the kiosk, they're gonna try to put a QR code. And in that QR code, it'll bring up your town and what your events will be. Or all of the towns, and I thought that was really a good idea. And, that's all I really have from the meeting.
Thank you.
I'll talk quick.
Okay.
I went to the Parowan Prevention Coalition. They have some great ideas, and great activities coming up, from the group. One thing, they're trying to mesh the older children, with their parents and stuff to do these activities. And the one is the line dance night. There was some mixed feelings in the room, I guess, but I just reminded them, how the ball was, the birthday ball. You had half the people there were high schoolers or below. So just reminded them that it's just not, it is cool sometimes to hang out with your parents.
And did you know that Eric Dodge is my cousin?
No. There we go.
He's fun.
Did you remind them that dances are more fun if they know how to dance?
Well, I don't dance, so I watch.
They're not fun, right?
No fun here.
I think she's looking at me.
That probably too. And then today it was a great day. We went to some of us went to the Children's Justice Center. I don't know, that's the first time I've ever stepped foot in there. It's beautiful. And what they do is great. But we had the Focus student project people there, and they talked about two things, and it was an eye-opener for me. The first one was cell phone youth use, and what problems have came up, and trying to get the legislators to do across the board, not law, but just rules about cell phone use in schools. And also they talked about combating student hunger, and it was quite an eye-opener, the statistics on both of those, in the community. So that was very, very good. And then most of us, except Sharon, she had a good excuse, went up to the state capitol yesterday, and we'll discuss that a little bit later, I'm sure, down the road. And our mayor got a little award. Not little, huge. So with that, I pass it to David Harris.
All I had was the little update of the bridge, that little progress, but I had to leave early because I had another meeting to go to. So Dan can discuss the bridge if he wants.
I actually do have some to add. Yep, but I'll wait for it's my turn.
But that's all I got.
Okay, well, Jet came and spoke everything about the theater that I was going to say, so I was glad that she came and did that. And then, just went to the Utah State Capitol yesterday, and when I got back today, everybody at work was like, "So, what'd you do up there? Was it pretty boring?" And I said, "I think I'm just a nerd." I'm like, I absolutely loved it. I wish I could go do another day. It was just like it was the highlight of my week.
You're not gonna wear high heels next time, are you?
Probably not, but they did look good with my outfit. But I'll probably go more with comfort than fashion. So, yeah. But I just was just thankful for all of the people up there and everything that they do, and their hospitality to show us all of the amazing underground tunnel things, and it was fun. It was just a lot of fun, so thank you.
Well, while we were there, do you wanna talk about the award?
Yeah, let's do.
Hey.
Let's do.
Well, it's right down there. I wasn't able to edit the video. Maybe I'll do it next time. This was a really big deal. The Jenny, I don't know if it's her first name, but it's the Taylor Service Award. The mayor, North Ogden mayor that was killed in Afghanistan, they created this service award. I recorded an 8-minute video. We had a huge room full of all the cities there, and Molly had no idea, and they awarded Molly this service award, and they said that she was overwhelmingly chosen as to receive this service award. It was a special moment. I actually got a little bit emotional as they started talking about all of the different things and the way that this person, they kept saying, had done these things in their community.
Thank you.
And when they started saying, led the way on working on a pool and stuff, and Molly looks at me and she says, "Oh no," and I said, "Yes." And anyways,
she leans over to me right before that, and she's like, "I'm pretty sure that's for Aaron Mendonov." And I was like, "Yeah, maybe."
And then they said she went and got, because there was a need, she got a bunch of students, and they went and painted the sidewalks red where they were having a parking problem, and at that point she knew it was her, and it was really special. The overall point of the award, and this is not religious, she specifically said this is not due to the Mormon hymn, but she talked about being called to serve. And in these positions, you don't do it because of the pay. We all know how the mayor gets paid this amazing amount of money, but you do it because you're called to serve your community, and that's why it was this service award. So it was a really amazing thing, and I couldn't think of somebody that was more deserving of it.
Thank you. And it was great having the council there because I was completely blindsided. And it was so funny because that's what I said when I went up to the microphone, because of course, you're not prepared for this. But I said, I just was sitting there thinking, wow, everything they were saying. There was another mayor that was living an alter universal life that was a duplication of my own. Mm-hmm. That's how removed I was that it could possibly be me. Mm-hmm. And so it was great. It was great, and it was great to have the council there because I don't think I could have made it through that. I don't love that kind of attention, and they know that, so I was awkward, which is true to brand. So there that is. Anyway, so as you were with your updates.
Okay. While we're talking about great things and awards given, I think it's important that there was not a lot of people there, but at the town meeting after the Parowan birthday, Larry and Janelle Zajac were awarded Citizens of the Year, and we did do a post on social media, and it was a great thing. We had a special speaking guest, which was our mayor, and we had musical numbers. We met with the school district afterwards, and the school district would like to change and update how we do that. Of course, they have this new building that they've built with the cafeteria, gym, and all of that stuff. And so at the school's request, the mayor and I went and met with them. And next year the school would like to modify it a little bit. One of the things is that the timing of the event it just absolutely wrecks their school day. The other thing we noticed is that the numbers were way down in the people that attended the luncheon and the people that attended the public meeting. So what we were thinking about is if we could shift the times just a little bit so that the big celebration would happen after lunch at 1 o'clock. That way they still get a good morning of school in at the elementary school and the high school. We could then go into that celebration, do everything identical to the way it's always been done in the past, and then everybody could go home. We could come back in the evening for a town hall meeting, a true town hall meeting, do the Citizen of the Year, have a speaker. Maybe we even thought we could do the State of the City. The mayor's been wanting to bring back State of the City for some time and do a true town hall meeting the evening and do it in the new facility. So the school wanted to figure out their education part of it better, and we thought, how could we get the numbers up to this town meeting? And so that's kind of the ideas that we were exploring with the school district.
So they do assemblies last on a day, and I think what they're saying is that they pretty much lose the students for the entire day when they do it in the morning. And so they were wondering if we would consider them formatting their day where it was more of an assembly and then the students were released after. So that was the discussion that we had.
So anyways, we'll talk about it as it comes up, as it comes closer next year, but that's one of the things the school wanted to pursue. They recognize that this is a city thing, a city holiday. It's kind of a unique thing. There's hardly ever the public interacting with the school in the middle of the day, other than like parents coming to an event. This is really a city holiday, citizens, everything going into the school, and they absolutely want to preserve the tradition and continue it on. But so we thought, you know what, this is the year we open a new building, maybe we can modify it and make it a win-win. Because we saw some pretty skim numbers on the town meeting there. So anyways, we'll continue to talk about that. Just wanted to make you aware of that. So after Dave left, the bridge meeting today, Councilman Harris, we have gotten to the point where we have the preferred alignment. I have to use all the right technical jargon, and we're to the point where we're ready to actually start including the public. They haven't gone to final design, so we can't release designs or anything, but I've asked them to get me enough diagrams and pictures and things like that so that we can have a public open house. And we can invite the public in, we can show them where the bridge design, the alignment, how that's going to look, with the pedestrian crossing part of it and all of that stuff. So we need to put on the schedule for an open house to show that to the public. And then after design is completely finalized, we'll probably have another public meeting as well to satisfy the NEPA process. But I don't know when we want to schedule that. But as Dave was talking, other Dave, Councilman Burton, we are to the point also on our big water recharge project where we could update the public on that as well. So I don't know if we wanted to do an evening and do an open house for an hour and have a bridge and have diagrams and answer questions. And the engineers said that they could attend, even though it wasn't in their scope, they could attend remotely. We can have them up here, answer any questions, technical questions, and then do a water open house on that water project same night. Maybe do one at 5 and one at 6, or one at 5:30 and one at 6:30. We can have refreshments, invite all the public to come, put it on social media, answer all the questions. What does everybody think about that?
I think that'd be a good idea because there is some relationship.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Yep. They're linked. Not technically, and we don't want to technically link them because of all the process, but they're absolutely linked. And for us, they're big, huge projects we're going to be doing these next 2 years. So, when do we want to schedule that, or should we just kind of see what's best and send it out?
When do you think you'll have the pictures?
I'm thinking within, I would say not next week, but anytime the following week after we could do it.
So the second council meeting in February or the first council meeting in March?
But I wanted to do it separate from the council meeting.
Okay.
Like a separate night.
Just a separate night, open house, that's what we do that night.
Do they need to have any of the bids solidified before that? Okay.
Nope. The goal is because we have cost estimates from both of them.
Okay.
We won't have final numbers or final design, but we have enough that we can talk to the public and show them that.
When are you thinking?
That's what I was just pulling up here on the schedule. So we're talking the first week in February. There's not city council.
No.
But there'll be...
We have meetings every night that week. Except for do we need to have economic development? We've talked about going to a quarterly economic development meeting. We have informally talked about it.
The 5th is the public hearings for planning and zoning.
Yeah, we need to stay away from that day. No. We do it a Friday, no it'll come. Are we gonna have shade tree committee? I don't know if we have a chair. Huh? We could do it on the 6th, assuming we don't have shade tree, or we could do it the following week. We do need to probably do it,
Planning and zoning's on the fifth, that's the public hearing.
Oh, Wednesday, that's right.
Mm-hmm, first Wednesday.
we could do it the 11th, which is a Tuesday.
I'm good with the 11th.
Open house on the 11th?
11th is good.
Are you guys good?
Okay,
Well,
we'll start planning and start preparing and the whole deal.
will you send us out a reminder?
Yep. We'll send you a reminder and then we'll put some stuff on social media and
Start about 5, is that what you're talking?
Or,
I'd say we do 5:30, 6:30 to get people a chance to get off work if they want to come. That's my thoughts.
You wanna do 6 days?
No, I just wanna make sure I get back from the temple, thank you.
The last thing is we had a, Councilman Burton mentioned it, just an informal review of MOU, reciprocal use of facilities, that Principal Bailey and I have been kicking back and forth on some concepts. School, administration wanted to meet and go over some of their concepts that they wanted to make sure was in it. And so, it was a really productive meeting. We were able to kinda iron out some, maybe just different ways of thinking about some stuff and what needs to go into the agreement. We expect some language that we can take to both governing bodies to review and vote on. So either by next council or the following one, we'll have a agreement in front of you, MOU, for us to be able to use each other's facilities and how we'll schedule that, and priority of scheduling and costs and anything like that we gotta do, so. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right. You all caught everything I have. So Callie or Scott?
I have nothing. Thank Mr. Peters and Ms. Eichelberger for your patience. We'll get right to that.
I just wanted to remind those who haven't turned in their conflict of interest statement, if you could do that before the end of the month.
All right.
Thank you.
Keith, Aldo, or Jeremy? All right, with that, which item on the closed session will we be going into closed session for?
We need to go into closed session. There's an item that says any other lawful purpose. We need to do contract negotiations, for 2 different purposes. And we need to go into purchase, exchange, lease, or sale of real property. So we have 2 categories, 3 purposes to go into closed session.
All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to go in closed session for, gosh, I'm trying to find it. Where's the real property? Oh, right there, for the lease or sale of real property litigation. What was the other one?
and then right at the sentence, right above.
Negotiation.
Contract negotiations, I don't see that on
On
here.
the next page, it's the catch-all that says any other lawful purpose, which is one of the things defined.
Oh, or any other lawful purpose.
And what's the other one?
There are 2 of those. There are 2 in the category of contract negotiations.
I said that.
Well, and then he also said discuss the purchase, exchange, lease of, or sale of real property.
I said that.
Oh, you did say,
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Second. Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor by roll call, beginning with Councilmember Topham?
Rochelle Topham, aye.
David Harris, aye.
John Dean, aye.
Sharon Downey, aye.
David Burton, aye.
All right, thank you. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you all. Watch out behind you, John.